In this very new episode of Docker, we are going to Dockerize a front-end framework, which is Angular. Angular is one of the most popular front-end frameworks, and for this to be Dockerized, we should have some knowledge on Nginx, which is a HTTP web server, a reverse proxy, and a load balancer. We are going to predominantly use as a web server to serve the static index file, basically the index.html from the Angular application, which is going to be the start point of the Angular. Angular does not come with an inbuilt web server, so for the production purpose, so we are using Nginx. So basically we have three files: docker-ignore, Nginx configuration, and the Dockerfile, and the angular.json where we will find the application's name. So this is a very simple Angular application. I have directly used the Angular commands from the Angular official website, and I have created this application and named it Task Planner. So what I'll do, I'll just give ngserve, and let's see what is going to be printed onto the browser. So it started to run on port 4200. Let us open the port. You don't have to have a much higher knowledge on Nginx. I will just show you the configuration. We will learn it on the go. Yeah, now you can see this is a simple page. Even the default page, I have just made few alterations, and I will stop the application server from the IDE now. So now that it has stopped, now let's start Dockerizing it. I showed you that we don't have anything here, and our 4200 is also not reachable. We will first move on to the docker-ignore file. Since this Angular application has many of the folders that need not to be included in the image. For example, consider the node modules, or the dist, or the .angular.vs code. These are necessary for the local download, local development in fact. But inside a Docker file, we are going to have different versions of these. So we do not need all the node modules inside it. We do not need the dist inside it. The build is going to happen, but it is going to happen inside a different structure. This dist is what we have in the local system. We don't need the git, the .gitignore, or whatever the files that are needed for the git, we don't need it. And finally, we don't need the Docker file, as well as we don't need the docker-ignore. Okay, so now the docker-ignore is done. Now let's proceed with the Nginx configuration. So for this, let's create a server that should listen on port 4200, and the server name is localhost. We should give semicolon at the end of each and every line. That is how this configuration works. The root of the Nginx is the path that I've shown you here, user share/nginx html. And then what is the file that it should refer for? Index.html is where our application root starts. So we should give either index.html, or index.htm. It is what this particular server has to look for. So the location will mention try files followed by the URI slash. It is actually the fallback for three types: URI, and the last fallback should be index.html. So now that we have prepared our Nginx configurations, it's time to move on to the main part, which is the Docker file. This Docker is a multi-stage Docker build. The build will happen in two stages especially. The first stage will be named as build. For more clarity, I'm just giving commands here. First stage is the build. Here we have given a simple image, Node.22 Alpine as build, and then followed with the work directory. If you have seen the Spring Boot video, we have given /API. Here it is /app. It is as per our convenience, or as per the application needs. How it resembles the application, we can give the work directory. followed by copy. The package and the package.json should be copied to install the dependencies, and then followed with the run command, which is npm install, and copy all the path to the root, and then followed by the build step, which is going to be npm run build, followed by the output path, which should be the /dist, and the configuration it should run, which should be production. And then now starts the stage 2. This stage 2 is going to be on top of the Nginx image. Here the first step is to get an Nginx Alpine image, and then what we should do, the Nginx will have a default configuration. So what we can do is, we have a configuration with us, right? We do not need the default configuration. So what we should do is, we should first remove the default configuration and then copy our Nginx configuration to the default. We can do it in other way also. We can try not to remove it. We can directly copy also. That is also possible, and that will also work. The next step is going to be the build path, where the particular components are being present, for where our files are being there. So for showing you this, I'm just giving the ng build command, which builds locally, and you can see inside the browser folder we have all the JS files that are being built. So that is the one that I have given you here, and then followed by the root of the Nginx. So now we have copied from the dist to the Nginx server, and we are exposing the port 4200, followed by the commands that makes the Nginx server to start off. We will not give npm run start here. We will give the Nginx server start commands here. In fact, now the Dockerfile is ready. We should open the command prompt and then start to give the Docker commands, especially the build and the run. Now that everything is stopped, I will copy the path and I'll just paste it. Oops, Mr. CD, clear it, and then what we can do is, we can just give docker build, and followed by the task, I'll give a tag of v1, just trying to build it. Now we should be able to see. Okay, there are a few warnings, as and from or not matching. Those are case sensitive. If we have given it in a single case, it will run. So now you can see the worker process is started when I gave docker run, and it is running on port 4203. And I will show you the command prompt what it is trying. It will actually log. The Nginx actually logs whatever things that you are doing here. And what we can do is, we can go deeper into the image to see what it is actually containing. For example, docker run followed by 80, and then the image name followed by the shell opens the shell, and we can see there are multiple folders inside the container itself. I have opened especially for the v1 now, and you can see there are multiple folders, right? If we directly go inside our Nginx folder, we should be able to see the index.html being present here. That path we have configured it in the Nginx config, which is the user, the root of the folder, user / share and Nginx. So we can go inside the nginx.html here, and you can see that we have all the files that we have built here. It will be similar to the dist that you have in local. So now we have Dockerized an Angular application, and we should further move on to other applications.